What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, right before Week 6 against the San Francisco 49ers, and it could get ugly. The Browns injury report is out. It is finalized, and they are without some key players, headlined by Deshaun Watson, who's out with a shoulder injury, which we're going to dive into in more detail in just a few moments. Cedric Tillman, the rookie, somehow came back from the bye week injured. I don't know how that happens, but he's out with a hip injury. Joel Bitonio's streak of not missing a start will come to an end. He is out with a knee injury. David Njoku with a face that was pretty much burned off like in the Dark Knight. He is questionable. It's unbelievable that he played 2 weeks ago, but would not be surprised if the Browns kind of just punt on this game, going no Watson, no Bitonio. Let's just give Njoku the day off as well. Ethan Pocic is questionable with the knee, chest, foot. Everything's injured with the Browns starting center, so if it couldn't get any worse, there it goes. Myles, Garrett, and Jerome Ford are both expected to go, though, with their injuries. But let's talk about Deshaun Watson for a moment here. He was ruled out for a second straight game, third straight week of, not seeing Deshaun Watson with the bye coming last week, with a right shoulder bruise, a right shoulder contusion. So what does that mean exactly? Well, let's at least look at the timeline first. So let's go back to September 29th. That is 2 weeks ago today, if you're watching this on Friday, when Watson was in his locker saying he will play in Week 4 against the Ravens. Okay, we all go into college football Saturday thinking Watson's fine, no biggie. Not the case. Watson does not play in Week 4 after a warm-up Sunday morning did not go well, and he is ruled out. The very next day, Kevin Stefanski says it was Watson's choice not to play. He was medically cleared to play, but Watson chose not to play. All right, that's a bit odd. You don't find that very often. But Watson was probably making the right choice for himself and the team if he knew he could not throw the ball well. Well, 2 days later, Andrew Berry speaks to the media, and he says, we as a group decided Deshaun Watson would not play. Well, now we've got some differences, right? Stefanski said he was medically cleared and that Deshaun Watson decided not to play. But then Andrew Berry says, au contraire, it was a group decision for Deshaun Watson not to play. So they're not really lining up the stories, and so it makes you wonder, is there more to the story? Because it's a bit strange, to say the least, for a quarterback to be going from a I'm going to play on Friday to a game time decision to, well, we got the bye next week, which means surely you'll come back ready to roll the next Sunday, and he's not ready to go then. Now, we did have an interesting, that might be giving it too much justice here, article/video come out from Cleveland 19 News, who interviewed Dr. Brandon Bowers over Zoom and asked him about Deshaun Watson and what he thinks, and him saying that he believes there is more to the story than the team is letting on. Now, I listened to the 90-second clip they put out, and Dr. Bowers was basically speculating more or less the same that we've been doing here as fans and media members about what's really going on with Watson. He did not come in with any big medical diagnosis. He did talk about the hit that Watson took in the Titans game and shed some light on when you fall on your shoulder or when you take a direct hit on your shoulder, that's going to impact the AC joint. And depending on what type of sprain you get, you could miss a little bit of time or it could require some surgery. I mean, Anthony Richardson for the Indianapolis Colts right now is dealing with that exact type of injury. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson is now expected to miss 4 to 8 weeks, depending on his rehab and whether or not he would still need surgery on his right shoulder. By placing him on IR today, the Colts are giving him time so nothing can or has to be rushed. Okay, but just going to show that we've seen a couple of quarterbacks deal with AC joint injuries. Derek Carr kind of got it started back a few weeks ago when he was dealing with a shoulder injury, but he will play today. He is in a better place health-wise than last week after that AC joint sprain. So the Saints and the Colts both came out pretty direct by saying it's an AC joint sprain. That's usually what happens when you take a hit to your shoulder. But the Browns are not saying it's an AC joint sprain, right? They're saying it's a rotator cuff contusion, which I'm no doctor, but that sounds a lot less scarier than anything with the word sprain in it. So now we are kind of left wondering and speculating, are the Browns kind of jerking us around here? Is it an AC joint sprain? Is it something worse? They said nothing is torn. Nothing is separated. Structurally, everything is fine. It's not a pain issue either. It's not like Watson's being soft and he doesn't want to play through a tough shoulder injury. No, it just sounds like the rehab is not going as well as the Browns would have hoped for, and Watson is just unable to go. They're not giving us a whole lot more than that. And to be honest, I'm not surprised, and I'm not thinking they should. They told us what it is. It's a right shoulder contusion. It's a right shoulder bruise. So at this point, we just got to kind of wait it out and hope that Watson is ready to go next week. Now, if he is not going to be able to go next week against the Colts after missing the Ravens game, the bye, and the 49ers game, I'm going to be a little bit more concerned. At that point, I will join, I would say, the masses and say, yeah, I'll get my tinfoil hat on and join the conspiracy theorists out there. Because for Watson to be out for 3 weeks, or at this point, it would be 4 weeks and miss 3 games, and for it to be a day-to-day injury, that doesn't line up, right? You're not day-to-day for a month at that point, because it would be. He would have missed the Ravens game, the bye, the 49ers game, and if he were to miss the Colts game, that's 4 weeks. That's 3 games in 4 weeks day-to-day. No, you don't go from being a game-time decision to being out for a month, and the issue is just a right shoulder contusion. There has to be more at that point. So I'm going to draw my line in the sand right there. I'm willing to accept what the Browns are telling us right now as the truth, and that is day-to-day right shoulder contusion. But if we get to the Colts game and he's still out with the same injury, it ain't lining up. It ain't lining up. So once again, look at the Watson timeline injury. To go from September 29th saying he will play to October 12th being ruled out for week 6, something's missing, but I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist just yet. However, the Colts game, like I said, I'm on your side. But what's your panic level on Deshaun Watson? Scale it 1 to 10. 10 being you think he is done for the season and there's going to be a shoulder surgery, which the Browns say they do not expect to happen for Deshaun Watson even after the season. 1 being you're as cool as a cucumber and P.J. Walker's going to drop 50 on the 49ers. For me, I'm probably at a 7.5 right now. I'm up there for sure. All right, now let's talk about P.J. Walker. Let's meet the Browns' 36th starting quarterback since 1999, if I counted correctly, which is the world's saddest stat. It really is. The rest of the NFL laughs at us every single time the Browns employ another starting quarterback. I mean, we're at week 6, and they'll have 3 starting quarterbacks at that point. This team, man. This freaking team. Now, today's show, before we talk about P.J. Walker in more detail, is sponsored by ZBiotics. Let's face it, after you guys hit me with a bunch of super chats, I don't bounce back too well the next day. That is until I found ZBiotics. ZBiotics Pro Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after a toxic byproduct, after drinking. Now, here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. Drink ZBiotics before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Now, you guys can see that the ZBiotics package is not too big, which means it's easy to travel with. If you want to slip it in your bag before going on a bachelor party, that's super simple to do. It's got these awesome little vials that make it really easy for taking a few on the road with you if you don't want to bring the whole thing. ZBiotics is super simple to slip in your bag, and off you go, ready to take on the weekend. This Halloween, pair your candy and cocktails with ZBiotics to avoid a spooky next morning. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports or scan the QR code that's on screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use code CHATSPORTS at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription as well, so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. That's zbiotics.com/chatsports and use the code CHATSPORTS at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring today's show. All right, let's talk about P.J. Walker for a second here. He was a 2017 UDFA out of Temple. I'll save you the Wikipedia search. He initially signed with the Colts. He was on their practice squad for 2 years. Then he went to the XFL, where we all sort of learned who P.J. Walker was. He broke out with the Houston Roughnecks, led the XFL in passing yards and touchdowns, which got him a contract with the with the Carolina Panthers. And with the Panthers, he put up some pretty good numbers, but most recently, he was with the Chicago Bears this preseason, signed a 2-year contract in April, had some good guaranteed money in that contract. And what did the Bears do? They benched him, and then they released him for a UDFA D2 quarterback to be Justin Fields' backup quarterback. That should say a lot about where P.J. Walker is right now. I wish I could be more upbeat about him. He went 2-3 as a starter last year for the Panthers, 731 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But in his NFL career, I know it's a really cool, incredible story going from XFL to starting in the NFL, but P.J. Walker might give you a surprise good start here and there, but the longer you watch him, the worse it kind of is. No offense, P.J. It's an incredible story, like I said, from XFL to NFL. But no, I am not confident in P.J. Walker this Sunday against the 49ers. I'm not confident in Dorian Thompson-Robinson if he were to play against the 49ers. And even if Deshaun Watson was healthy, no one should be confident in their starting quarterback against the 49ers. Look at what they did to Dak Prescott. Look at what they've done to every starting quarterback they've played this season. They have chewed him up and spit him out. So you better believe they are going to have a field day with P.J. Walker. Do I want to be wrong? Of course I do. But let's be real here. It's probably going to be worse than the Red Wedding on Sunday. Now, I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be watching the game with you guys. So make sure to tune in for our Browns versus 49ers watch party. We're almost at 25,000 subscribers. Help us pick up a few more subs so we can cross that milestone during our watch party on Sunday, which might not be pretty, but you know what? Even if it's not, I'm not going to panic because it's only week 6. We're not even at Halloween yet. We've got a long season to go. If the Browns get their bottom spanked by the 49ers, get in line. You're not the first. In fact, I think about the 49ers team last year who started off 3-4 and got a shellacking from the Kansas City Chiefs. And what do? They won out the rest of the season and went all the way to the NFC Championship game. So even if they lose this Week 6 matchup to a 5-0 49ers team, I'm not going to be concerned. Now, let's talk about potentially signing Frank Clark to wrap up the show. If you missed it, he was released by the Broncos today following their Thursday Night Football loss to Kansas City. He did not play in the game. He was out with an illness. That's what they say. But in reality, he was not a good cultural fit in Denver. They wanted to go with some younger players at pass rusher. So Frank Clark took a pay cut just to get released and try somewhere else. Now, he only played in 2 games after signing that 1-year, $5.6 million contract. So, no doubt, a bit of a bust for the Broncos. But 3-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champ. Anytime those type of accolades are on the market in October, yeah, most teams are going to do their homework on adding that player. Edge rushers, in my opinion, they're like lefty relievers before the MLB trade deadline. You can never have too much. Every contender's looking for them. But I like the Browns' current edge rusher rotation as it stands right now. So I'm not in line to add a player like Frank Clark, who, by the way, quickly fell out of favor in Denver, which is an absolute shit show right now. But if you're playing in the 4th quarter of a preseason game, maybe there are some internal issues with yourself. Just going to put that out there. But like I said, I like the Browns' current defensive end rotation, right? You can see Myles Garrett taking on 77% of the snaps so far. Za'Darius Smith at 63, and Okoronkwo at 57. If you add Frank Clark to this mix right here, whose snaps are he taking? Not Myles Garrett's, not Za'Darius Smith's, maybe Obo, but I hope not, because I liked what I've seen out of Okoronkwo so far. So I'm not interested in adding a one-time really good edge rusher just because he's got a big name and he did some good things with the Chiefs, which, I mean, he did some great things in the postseason, and that's a good argument to make to add him, If you want to play deep into January and into February, Frank Clark is the man for the job because he knows a thing or two about playing some great defense and coming up in clutch moments when you need it most in the postseason. So I can listen and entertain that idea. But for now, as long as the Browns are healthy at edge rusher, which sure, maybe Myles Garrett's foot injury can raise a level of cause of concern for adding another edge rusher, I like the current group, so I don't really want to mess with it. But weigh in for me. Should the Browns sign Frank Clark? S for sign, P for pass. Give me your honest opinion down below in the comment section. To wrap up the video, my boss sent me this tweet with this chart attached. And anytime I see these charts where I have no idea what the X and Y axis truly mean, like, no one actually knows what EPA play allowed means. But what I do know and what I did learn from sophomore math is you want to be top right in the charts. Look at the Browns. They're nowhere near the next team. And that's a good thing for once. Like the Ravens and Saints, whatever this chart really, like, what the hell does success rate allow? No one knows what that means. But I know this much. Being top right is good. So Browns defense can confirm is super duper good. And it looks like the Broncos defense is not good. But we're going to sign off. We're going to let you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday and the weekend. We will see everyone for our watch party. If you're going to be tuning into the watch party, type me down below in the comment section. I want to get a good head count right now.